بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه الطيبين الطاهرين البررة الكرام. Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my wish to bring you the warmest felicitations and the best of greetings and wishes on the occasion of the Eid Ul Adha celebration, which is just a day away from us. Tomorrow is the Arafah day, which is the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, the last month of the Muslim calendar. And the following day is the 10th day, which is the day on which we celebrate the Eid Ul Adha. So therefore, it is befitting that as we draw closer to the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, where we'll be celebrating the Eid Ul Adha, to wish all Muslims across the world the best of Eid Ul Adha celebration in the year 2022. We are thankful to the Almighty Allah for the gift of life and the gift of health. We are thankful to the Almighty Allah for sustenance. We are thankful to the Almighty Allah for the provision that He has made for us. We are thankful to the Almighty Allah for the blessings that we are going to get. We are thankful to the Almighty Allah for the season of devotion and blessings that He has offered us. The first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah the first 10 days are all full of blessings. Because the Prophet ﷺ has made us to understand, ما من يوم العمل فيه أحب إلى الله من هذه الأيام. There's no any other day in which act of devotion or worship towards Allah is most dear to Allah than devotion undertaken or carried out in these days. And these days, he means the first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah. You see, God gives us seasons, and He chooses days, He chooses months, He chooses years in which He Himself makes Himself available to us through His blessings. He breathes and brings us the breeze of His compassion, the breeze of His blessings. And He makes His blessings part and parcel of human experience. And so for us to really position ourselves strategically and appropriately to be part of the experience of His blessings, He gives us an indication of what we must do. And this is what underscores what the Prophet has told us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in this particular sense. ما من يوم العمل فيه أحب إلى الله من هذه الأيام. If there are any other days in which act of devotion, expression of our true servitude to Allah, excuse me, true devotion to Him is most dear to Allah, then it is devotion within these 10 days, and which part of which is the Arafah, which is going to take place tomorrow. And you remember the Prophet ﷺ has told us, خير الدعاء دعاء يوم عرفة. خير الدعاء دعاء يوم عرفة. The best of supplication, or if you like, invocation, the best of prayers, as according to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the invocation or the prayers of the day of Arafah. And he continues, وَخَيْرُ مَا قُلْتُ أَنَا وَالنَّبِيُّونَ مِنْ قَبْلِ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَحْدَهُ لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ وَلَهُ الْحَمْدُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. وَخَيْرُ مَا قُلْتُ, the best of invocation, the best of supplication, the best of a call unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for prayer is the supplication of the day of Arafah. And he added, the best of prayers that has ever been said by myself and the prophets who came before me is to say, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shayin qadir. La ilaha illallah, there is no deity deserving of human obeisance, deserving of the worship of man on the surface of the earth, in the heavens, or in all of the universe, illallah, except Allah alone. Wahdahu, alone he is, la sharika lah, he has without any partner. Lahul mulk, dominion and kingdom belongs to him. Walahul hamd, thanks and praises, adoration belongs to him. Wa huwa ala kulli shayin qadir, and he is able, and he has power over everything. This is a declaration of faith, but it also comes as a foundation for one to supplicate. Having made this public declaration of your servitude to him, and also declaring his lordship as the one who is most deserving of your obeisance, obedience and worship and devotion, this is the door, the key that opens the door of blessings to you. So you may not even have to now call on him by way of direct prayer. But he said this declaration in itself is a key to unlock his compassion and his blessings into your life. And that's why he said, khayru ma qult wa khayru ma qult. The best that I have ever said, I have ever proclaimed, ana wa nabiyyin min qabli, myself and the prophets who came before me. And this declaration, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulk wa lahul hamd wa huwa ala kulli shayin qadir. It appears to me that I will want to leave you with this. For those of us who will be at Arafah, but for those of us who are also here tomorrow with the Arafah day, we will have to partake into that blessing. And that's why a lot of act of devotion which comes equal to those who are present there in Arafah. One of them is that tomorrow is Sunnah, that we fast. We're going to fast tomorrow, and this fasting is part and parcel of the 10 days, the 10 days of the first 10 days of the month of Zulhijjah. So fasting on the day of Arafah is something that is highly recommended. And when you are fasting, remember that the Prophet ﷺ has declared to us, مَا مِنْ يَوْمٍ الْعَمَلُ فِيهِ أَحَبَّ إِلَى اللَّهِ, there is no day in which a certain devotion is most dear to Allah than these first 10 days. So your fasting can have a different value, a unique value, because of what the Prophet ﷺ has said. You can also undertake other forms of devotion. If you are not used to doing nawafil, tomorrow when you are in the state of fasting, Salatul Duha, so you can pray Salatul Duha, which is 2 rak'ats, 4 rak'ats, up to 8 rak'ats you can do. And when you do so, engage in zikr. Engage in zikr. Look, make your preoccupation in this seasonal communion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to know its value and cherish and do something differently because of the love you have for Allah and because of the love you have for days chosen by Him. وَمَنْ يُعَزِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Whoever gives recognition and gives glory to the symbols of Allah, فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ, that it is an indication of the piety of the heart. Yeah. So you really must sanctify and hold sacred days that Allah Himself has chosen and has made sacred for you. One of them is the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. It's another seasonal period, for us to get close to Allah in our devotion. But the one that we are glad that Allah has given to us now. So seasonally, almost every time God gives us a certain season within which we can renew our commitment and loyalty to Him. So don't forget this. Do a lot of nawafil and do a lot of azkar. So my point here is that within this period, you need to be preoccupied. Make your preoccupation devotion which comes through some of the things that we do, the fasting, the nawafil, and then the azkar that you can ever remember in your life. Remember, I have repeatedly given you different formulas that you can engage in. One of them is what I have just mentioned, according to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa huwa ala kulli shayin qadir. You can do just simple La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. La ilaha illallah. At-tahleel. At-tahleel, you do tahmeed. Tahmeed is to say Alhamdulillah. Tasbih is to say Subhanallah, 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 Subhanallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. Like I have told you, these are simple things that you say, but thaqilayni fil mizan. They are so weighty, they are heavy on your scale of judgment, on the day of judgment. So, you have nothing to lose, but rather you have a lot to gain. You have a lot to gain. So those who are devoted to God, make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala their preoccupation in season like this given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why I want to repeat to you a prayer of one of our spiritual teachers. You know, some of them have been able to put together certain formulas. Allahumma ja'alna mashghulina bi amrik. Allahumma ja'alna mashghulina bi amrik. Oh Allah, make us preoccupied with you and your affairs. You see, the desire, the prayer comes from the heart, and it is an expression of the desire of the heart also. That the tongue now speaks out with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are people who have delved deep in matters of spirituality, and they make God their preoccupation, and even that they think they are not doing it enough. So now they invoke Allah. Allahumma ja'alna mashghulina bi amrik, aminina bi fadlik, aisina min khalikik, anisina bika mustawhishina an radina bi qada'ik, sabirina ala bala'ik, mutaladhizina bi zikrik. Imagine this. That we find joy and sweetness in the remembrance of your name. I mean, imagine this. Having said that, make us those preoccupied with your affairs. But in the other part of it, make us those who find sweetness in rehearsing your name, in doing zikr. And so therefore, that's what I want to really encourage. Do the fasting tomorrow. Do nawafil. Do azkar. And preoccupy yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your day. Tomorrow is the day of Arafah. خير يوم طلع فيه الشمس. The best of the days in which the sun has ever risen and shone on the whole of the universe is the day of Arafah. The day when Allah feels proud about those who have come in obeisance to Him. They have come in obedience to Him, showing complete loyalty. And He now calls all the multitudes of angels, come and see them. They are there, showing them their humility. In men, they are in their two seamless cloth, white, all of them looking sparkling white, all occupying the whole space of Arafah. Oh my Lord, MashaAllah. It's nice. An experience to be there and to see colleagues that are all united in their hearts and minds, all calling unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with all seriousness and with all fervence. All of them in humility, some of them breaking down into tears. Calling on Allah by all the names and attributes that one can remember. That is the day. And when they do so, Allah now calls angels and calls them to come and see. Come and see my servants. Come and see my servants. What are they doing? Allah, they are calling your name. And what are they asking for? Say, oh Allah, they are asking for your Jannah. And He will ask them, have they ever seen the Jannah? So, Ya Allah, you know better. They have not seen the Jannah before. He asks them, what if they have seen it before? They said they would have been more intense, more serious in their devotion to you. That's what they would say. And then He asks them, what are they asking? What are they praying against? What are they praying against? Allah. They say, Ya Allah, you best. You know best. They are praying against the hellfire. Then He will ask them the question: have they ever seen the hellfire? Ya Allah, they have not seen it before. They have not seen hellfire before. Then He asks them, what if they have seen the hellfire before? Then He will say, Ya Allah, they would have been more intense in praying for your refuge against the hellfire. Then Allah will then Allah will tell them, now bear witness and tell them, فَإِنِّي غَفَرْتُ لَهُمْ, I have forgiven them all. Forgiving them, not just forgiving them, but their forgiveness is to unlock these blessings to them, so that they become people so sacred that they are worthy of His presence. And once they are worthy of His presence, He will answer their calls. Isn't it sweet? Because where they are there in companionship with Him. I'm talking of companionship in terms of the nearness to Him. Al-unsu billah, companionship. That when you get close to somebody, you don't feel homesick about the person. You don't feel a certain distance between you and the person. That is uns billah. That's why the prayer I said to you, Allahumma ja'alna mashghulina bi amrik, aminina bi fadlik, aisina min khalik, anisina bika, so that we feel the closeness and nearness to you. Anisina bika, mustawhishina an ghayrik. You know, we feel the homesick against any other person but you as the one that we want in our lives. Mustalazizina bi zikrik, farihina bi kitabik, munajina bika fi ana illa wa atraf an-nahar. Munajina bika, that we are into communion with you. We are into communion with you. Munajina bika fi ana illa wa atraf an-nahar. مبغضين للدنيا محبين للآخرة مشتاقين إلى لقائك. We are desirous, we are passionate of meeting with you. We are so passionate of meeting with you. So tomorrow, Arafah, those of you who might be seeing me, even though you are in Makkah, some of you are still following the Sharmutu TV. Any Ghanaian Muslim who finds himself in Arafah, this is my little gift to you. Please be careful. Don't get distracted by some of those people who do not know why they are there. Please, I beg you, when you are at the Arafah, know where you are. Tomorrow is Arafah. And those of us who are here, please take it from me. When you fast, you will not know the value. Allah alone knows the value you will get. When you do a single nafila, so you are not used to saying Salatul Duha. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, rise up. Say 2 rakats, or rise up. 4 rakats, 8 rakats. This nawafil are something that Allah is so dear. To do nafila means going the extra mile. وما تقرب إلي عبدي بشيء أحب إلي مما افترضته عليه ولا يزال عبدي يتقرب إلي بالنوافل حتى أحبه. The best that Allah cherishes is that for you to be obedient in carrying out that which He has made obligatory on you. That's the Hadith Qudsi. What Allah has made obligatory is the most dear thing to Him for you to do in obedience. But even having done so, He said, go the extra mile. وَلَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَى بِالنَّوَافِلِ. My servant will continue to draw closer to me as long as he undertakes nawafil. And so I call on you, do some nawafil tomorrow. Do the fasting and do some nawafil tomorrow. Occupy yourself, do qira'atul Quran. Read the Quran if you are able. Do so. Probably this is a little gift for tomorrow. But the Eid Ul Adha, on the 10th day of the Hijjah, this year, 2022, is going to fall on the 9th of July, and that is on Saturday, which is the 10th day of the month of Dhul Hijjah. And it's a special day given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The day on which we meet at all assemblies, all Muslims across the world, including those who are in Mecca, will celebrate the Eid Ul Adha. The Eid Ul Adha is an opportunity for us to remember Allah and do takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahil hamd. This is the sound you will see resonating from all the corners of the world, echoing from all across the world. All across the world, and we do so in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We proclaiming the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Allah is most great. Allah is most great. La ilaha illallah. There is no being worthy of worship and obeisance by man except Allah alone. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira. والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله تعالى وبحمده بكرة وعصيلا لا إله إلا الله ولله الحمد Allahu Akbar Kabira. Allah, we proclaim Allah's greatness abundantly. Walhamdulillahi kathira. And we declare our thankfulness to Him abundantly. Wa subhanallahi ta'ala wa bihamdihi bukratan wa asila. And we glorify Him. And with thankfulness, bukratan, morning, wa asila, and in the evening. You see, Muslims, Allah gives a season. That is what we meet today. But on that day, when we have come out, so the day is for the declaration of Allah's greatness. When we declare Allah's greatness, we also recognize our own insignificance in His presence, our nothingness, so that we can truly be obedient to Him. The day is the day on which we also now do sacrifice. The sacrifice, very important, sacrifice. This sacrifice we do across the world. Can you imagine the volume of meat that Muslims, the volume of animals, the number, I'm talking of the number, out of which volumes of meat that will be made available to the poor, that comes to the sacrifice we do in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that sacrifice of cows, of camels, of sheep that we're going to do, the blood, can you consider the volume of blood that will be split on the surface of the earth on the 10th day of Eid Ul Adha? What do they mean to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This volume of blood from India to Russia, from Europe to America, in Asia, from China to Japan, in Africa, from Tunisia to South Africa, from Somalia and Ethiopia to Gambia. Muslims across the world. Just take North Africa alone and see how many sheep, how many camels are going to be slaughtered. Take Sudan, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Mauritania, Mali, and take in West Africa here, then you're talking about Niger, Nigeria. That part of Africa alone. Can you imagine the volume of meat that will arise out of this? Why are we slaughtering? Why are we splitting all over the world this volume of blood that we are going to split? And we do so in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah has told us, لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهُ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. He said, it is not the meat nor the blood that rises onto the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not. Allah is not a physical being. And He's not a contingent being. So He doesn't need food to survive. هو غني بنفسه قائم بنفسه. He is self-sustaining. Self-sustaining. غني بنفسه. Self-subsisting. That's what we call him Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum. The ever-living, the self-subsisting. Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum. Who needs no food to survive. He needs no water to drink in order to quench his thirst. If he were so, he would have then been dependent of material source of life. So you see, so when we are worshiping and we slaughter, he says that it is not the meat. لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهُ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. It is not the meat. لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهُ لُحُومُهَا. And look at the particle of negation that has been used here. Lan, never will it rise. To use lan is an emphatic negation of a verb. Lan. It is never. What is it? It is never the meat nor the blood that rises to the presence of Allah. Walakin, but yanaluhu taqwa minkum. But it is the piety of your heart. Your piety, the piety with which you do the slaughtering, is what based on the foundation, on the pure and pristine understanding of the source and the beginning, the origin of this particular practice which you undertake every year. The slaughtering. Can you remember the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam? Can you remember that beautiful story? The beautiful story that brings the true illustration and demonstration of sincere obedience to Allah, as was carried out by Ibrahim alayhi salam. Do you remember the story? The slaughter, the intended slaughter, the sacrifice of Ismail alayhi salam. Mm. You know, Ibrahim alayhi salam lived long in his life, advanced age, and he was not granted a son. And so out of that desperation, looking into the future, getting generation after him to carry out the godly work he was doing, he prayed unto Allah, Rabbi habli min as-salihin. Rabbi habli min as-salihin. Oh Allah, grant me of a son among the righteous. So I call on you too, when you are praying for God to give you a son, pray for a righteous son. Ibrahim prayed, Rabbi habli min as-salihin. Oh Allah, my Lord, habli, grant me min as-salihin, son from among the righteous. So Allah now heard the prayer of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he granted him a son through his first wife Hajar alayha salam. Now when he got the son, when the son grew to the point as a young person that Ibrahim alayhi salam will depend on him, send him to do things for him, then Allah spoke to Ibrahim alayhi salam in a dream. It's a story that you are familiar with. Spoke to him in a dream to sacrifice the only son that he had been given orphan at the time, granted at the time. The only son. And you know, there's a certain bonding. When you live for a long time, your heart's desire is for you to be given a son. And now when you have been given the son that you cherish so much, then your faith is tested. Your faith is tested by commanding you to slaughter or to sacrifice this son. Put a knife on his throat and cut. It's a test. That's why I'm using the word test. It was to test how deep and firm, how well rooted the faith of Ibrahim alayhi salam was, and to also see truly whether if he says he believed in Allah and he's obedient to him, whether he was able to stand by the test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stand the test. That's why in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا قَالَ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي قَالَ لَا يَنَالُ أَحَدِ الظَّالِمِينَ. وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ. Remember when Allah, when Ibrahim was tested by his Lord, وَإِذِ ابْتَلَى Ibrahim رَبُّهُ. Remember when Ibrahim was tested by his Lord. Bikalimat, with some assignments, with some words that carry certain commandments. These are words, but they are words of commandment demanding something from Ibrahim alayhi salam. One of them is to call on him to sacrifice his son Ismail when he was the only son. But when the son grew to a level where Ibrahim alayhi salam will really look at him and see the future with hope, then Allah spoke to him in a dream. I want you to get this story. So the Quran says, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ. When Ismail alayhi salam grew to the level that he can engage in activities with Ibrahim alayhi salam, then Allah has spoken to him. So he spoke to Ismail alayhi salam, Ya bunayya, inni ara fil manam. Inni ara fil manam anni azbahuka fanzur maza tara. I have seen in a dream that I am slaughtering you, I'm sacrificing you according to the command of Allah. Fanzur maza tara. Just consider what do you see. That is a consultation between the father and the son. So what it means here is that Ibrahim alayhi salam in his heart has already surrendered, has already made his intention. But that for him to carry out this commandment, he must have also the cooperation of his son. So therefore, he consulted the son. Inni ara fil manam anni azbahuka fanzur maza tara. Consider, this is what I have seen according to commandment in my dream. Allah has commanded me to sacrifice you. Fanzur maza tara. Now consider it, look into it and consider whether you will be able also to. Now the obedient son, may Allah give us obedient children. That's why now comes the fullest expression of Rabbi habli min as-salihin, because Allah gave him a son who is righteous. and one expression of the righteousness of the son is to obedient to the commandment of his father, a commandment that originates from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya abbat if'al ma tu'mar. Ya abbat if'al ma tu'mar. Satajiduni insha'Allahu min as-sabirin. Oh, ya abbati. That is, there is respectful and loving model of invitation to a father in Arabic language. Ya abbati, oh my father. It is not a raw invitation which does not show which doesn't show respect. It's a form of invitation to a dad or a father that shows love and respect and reverence. Ya abbati, ya abbati. Oh, my respected father. Oh, my father, my loving father. Respectful. If al-ma tu'mar, carry on or undertake or do that which you have been commanded to do. Go ahead. In other words, I give you the guarantee. I am the one who is going to suffer the pain of the knife that is going to put on my throat. But I say, go ahead. You have my guarantee. Have my guarantee. Yeah, but if al-ma tu'mar, go ahead and do that which you have been commanded. Satajiduni insha'Allahu min as-sabirin. Allah wills you find me among those who are patient. But in this particular sense, those who have a sense of forbearance. That's what it means here. Forbearance and fortitude to withstand the pain of the test that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the expression of honest and true submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what Ibrahim alayhi salam demonstrated. And so when we celebrate Eid Ul Adha, it is a commemoration. That's what people must understand. It is a commemoration of this righteous act of a father who was prepared to give his son in sacrifice to Allah, and a son who was prepared to obey his father through the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why the Quran says, فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ فَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَنْ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ قَدْ صَدَقْتَ رُؤْيَا إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. In Surah Al-Safat, you can read Surah Al-Safat, Quran chapter 37, you can read from 102 downwards. See, this beautiful story, and I'm sure you can get a Quranic commentary that will give you a very nice commentary that will, rekindle you and get more inspired, so that even when you are celebrating on that day, in your mind is something that goes beyond just meat. Something in your mind that goes beyond meat. The true expression of your obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we sacrifice on the day, having gone to the Eid grounds to say and to proclaim and sing in the mantra, singing and calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the most beautiful of his names, declaring what he means to us in our lives. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd, Allahu Akbar kabira, walhamdulillahi kathira, wa subhanallahi ta'ala wa bihamdihi bukratan wa asila, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd. See, and then we go to the Eid grounds, we do all these things, we hear the sermon of the Imam, which inshallah on Saturday, the National Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nuh Sharubutu will lead us in prayer on Saturday, and he will give us the lessons that we must all learn. So that is it. So we celebrate this day in order to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, proclaim his name, and then also we also do so to give a certain reenactment, to reenact the action of obedience that was demonstrated by Ibrahim alayhi salam. It is also a period also to share the good that we have, provisions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which he has given to us. So we slaughter and we share the meat, and that's why when you slaughter, you cut the meat into three. Family will take one, neighborhood, those within you share with neighbors will also take, and then you also consider those who are deprived, so you give them in charity. So when you slaughter, don't forget those who are in need. Those who are in need, give them abundance of meat, give them quantities. When they are close to you, don't give them that small meat. You look at where they are coming from, who they are. They are so insignificant in your eyes that even the meat you give them is so small. Might use love. Out of the love that Allah has done to you, show them love. Because you have a lot of meat to eat in the house. You can forgo the meat, but they cannot forgo the meat. Huh? So when you give them, if there's any poor person you're going to give a meat to, give them enough. Something that when they receive will make them so happy. And doing so with your clean heart. Now, when we slaughter, it's also an indication of our sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our devotion to Him. Don't forget that as we slaughter, we also show love to life, love for human life. Don't you see? God in His wisdom and power could have allowed Ibrahim alayhi salam to slaughter the son. God in His wisdom and power could have allowed Ibrahim to kill Ismail alayhi salam. What is the wisdom behind saving Ismail and bringing a ram from heaven? Allah did not allow Ibrahim alayhi salam to slaughter Ismail. Because the ayah that I read to you, فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا, it said when Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail, فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا, when both of them surrendered and submitted to Allah. The singular verb, the formation of the verb, which is for a single person here, past tense verb, is aslama. Aslama is to surrender. In the past, it's a past tense verb. It's a perfect tense. The perfect tense, aslama. Aslama, yuslim. Aslim. That is it. So if it says two people who did it, we have the suffix of the dual alif. We call the alif of duality. And that is yani alif al-ithnain, which is added to the verb to elongate it. So aslama, one person did it. Aslama, two people did it. So the word that was used here, falamma aslama, when both of them surrendered, Ismail and his father Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَتَلَّهُ جِلْجَبِينَ, and he cast him down on his forehead. Then Allah says, فَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَنْ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ, and so we call unto Ibrahim, Ya Ibrahim, قَدْ صَدَقْتَ رُؤْيَا, indeed you have really confirmed and affirmed your faith in the dream that you had. فَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذَبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي. So do we reward those who worship Allah with true sincerity. فَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذَبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ, and so we ransomed. And so we ransomed Ismail بِذَبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ, with a great sacrificial animal. With a great sacrificial animal. بِذَبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ, a great sacrificial animal. So it means Ismail was saved. What is the significance of this? It's to tell us the sacredness of human life. You see, by this alone we uphold as Muslims the sacredness of human life and the sanctity of human blood. These two things are things not to joke with. So you don't kill for nothing. You don't kill people. You don't slay people and destroy their lives. You don't spill people's blood. So it is also a day to showcase the Islamic value of respect and love for children and respect for human life and the sanctity of human blood. It's also a lesson for patience and fortitude. Patience and fortitude. That in life you are confronted with tests that come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Ibrahim was tested. Ismail was tested. Ismail was going to lose his life. Ibrahim is going to lose his son. All in obedience to Allah. This is a test. This is a test. As Allah says, وَكَذَلِكَ نَزِّلُ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And so do we reward those who worship Allah in all sincerity, in all goodness. Now, just for me to add a little, when you sacrifice, what kind of animal should you sacrifice? Yeah. These are animals, the beasts of sacrifice. We know them ranging from camel to cow to sheep, ram, all these things. You know them. One needs not list them to you. Bahimatul An'am, you know them. But what should be the quality, the attribute of the animals? It must be a very healthy, preferably a ram. A ram with a beautiful, strong horns, white, sparkling white, with a blackish circle around his eyes and a blackish circle around the feet, looking plumpy and good. Something that befits to be given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the best. If you can, that is the best for you. It must show no defect. It must not have a broken horns. A defect in terms of any part of its body cut off. It must not be sick, and as a sick animal. It should not be emaciated. It must not be an animal that has grown so lean as a result of either some sickness or whatever condition. It must not be an animal. It should not be a blind animal. Whether one eye or the two eyes, they do not qualify to be given to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that when you slaughter in the presence of Allah, the blood that oozes from the animal will drop on a certain space in the presence of Allah before it falls on the surface of the earth. So the Prophet ﷺ said, فَطِيبُوا بِهَا نَفْسًا. And so therefore, when you are doing that, he said, cleanse your heart and joyfully do this kind of sacrifice. Cleanse your heart. Approach it with sincerity. That's what it means. Approach this act of sacrifice with sincerity. Because it says that before the blood will fall on the surface of the earth here where you are slaughtering, the blood would have fallen on a certain space in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said that you have a great reward when you slaughter with all sincerity, because he says that لِكُلِّ شَعْرَةٍ حَسَنًا, that one stroke, each of the stroke of the hair of the animal is worthy of a reward that Allah will give you. Each of the stroke of hair. Each of the stroke of hair. Can you count the hair on an animal? Can you count? Say each of the stroke of hair. Yes. Is worthy of a certain reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so therefore, we are calling on all of us. Let's be sincere. And it's a day also we must show love and cleanse of our hearts of hatred. Let's show love, a day of forgiveness. Let's forgive. As we speak the way we are doing, let's remember our country. Look, our country is in difficulty, which we all know. And everybody, when I speak like this, everybody knows. You see, but you cannot take God outside of our equation. Maybe it is because we are not even showing obedience to God. That's why Allah is testing us. Maybe. We must ask ourselves, are there things we are doing wrong? That's why we find ourselves this way. And when you think this way, don't think about the government alone. Even look at yourself also. Some of the things that you are also doing. And so let's all bring our hearts together tomorrow when Muslims meet on every prayer grounds tomorrow. Please. And here, I'm not looking at the political parties. Pray for Ghana. Pray for Ghana. For God to turn this around and bring us economic relief. Pray for protection. Nigeria is burning because there's insecurity. Just yesterday, the president of Nigeria's life was attempted. His convoy was attacked. It's the whole world. Allah loves us in Ghana. We are not witnessing this. Far away in the US, we were celebrating their national day, and somebody was holding a gun. He was on a building somewhere. He shot and killed some people. Close to us here, Togo, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, they have had their shares of an attack by terrorists. Allah loves Ghana. Allah loves Ghana. Let us not be unappreciative of what Allah is doing for us in our country. Somebody asked me, is there peace in Ghana? I say, yes, Ghana is relatively peaceful, as compared to other countries. We have not yet gotten to a level where we are queuing to buy petrol. It's because God is doing something for us. But still we are in difficulty. Still, maybe there are a lot of things we are doing wrong. God has been kind to us in one way, but in one way or the other also He's testing us so He can bring us back to focus. But we know He's a loving God who is compassionate, who is beneficent. Through His munificence, He will bring us relief. Inspire our leaders with the ideas that will translate into what will bring us some economic salvation. We are praying. We've not lost hope. Still, He is the one who has the power to turn this around. So I'm calling all of us tomorrow on Saturday when we meet at Eid grounds. All Imams, I call on you. Remember Ghana in your prayers. Maybe your prayer is the one that will do the magic for us. Forgive your enemies. Forgive your enemies. Forgive those who offend you. It's a day of love. The day when Allah is now feeling proud of us, when we all meet at the Eid grounds, He feels proud of us. These are my servants. They have all met here not for anything but to declare their loyalty to me. Now as we get united in our hearts to express this loyalty, that collective loyalty to God must also open our hearts to each other. Let's forgive. Let's show love. Let's be tolerant. Have compassion on people. Let's smile on the face of people. Share the goodies of the day with people. Where you have wronged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember, and when you are just seated on the mat on Saturday, remember, we are all human beings. You might have done sin against Allah in one way or the other. You might have also offended somebody, whether known or unknown. Remember, let me end up with a story. Around in 1997, when I did my first Hajj, at the time I was invited to be part of those who teach, who when you go there you preach to draw people's attention. So one day, we Ghana, we do tamattu, so we have finished, and then so everybody was, but then we still go to the various residences and preach. So I entered into one of the residences, which were for the women. So I entered, and they gave me attention. They gave me full attention. I sat and began talking to them. On that day, my topic was forgiveness, istighfar. That as they go around the Kaaba and do their Nawafil Tawaf, and go to Sa'i and do Nawafil Sa'i, they must remember and call unto Allah for forgiveness. And when I spoke and I finished, there was a young woman, a married woman who was sitting by the door. She was quietly listening to me. When I finished and I bid them farewell, I was going to walk out. This young woman approached me and said she wanted to talk to me. So I gave her attention. She told me her story. A story which is not pleasant to say, but because I'm teaching now, I want to give you hope. And since I will not declare her identity, in fact, I can't remember her now, even where she lives, whether she's alive, I can't remember, but I can tell the story. Her story was that she did her first marriage, and her first husband divorced her. They got divorced. Then she got married to a second husband. After she's gotten married to the second husband, now the first husband was also approaching her. And she fell to the temptation. She fell to the temptation. So even though she was with her second husband as a wife, her first husband who had divorced her was also having an affair with her. And she courageously told me this because I had preached about sin and about forgiveness. So she didn't know, and finding herself in Mecca, a holy place, carrying this weight of sin on her shoulders, she could not carry it anymore. She didn't know what to do. She had to confess to me. She asked me what she should do. She was even asking me what should she tell her husband. In my wisdom, I told her, no, don't tell your husband. I want to tell you the truth. I told her, no, don't tell your husband. This is something you have done unknown to your husband. Between you and Allah, this is what you have done. You find yourself at a place where Allah will listen to your cry. So from now, begin to do istighfar, and when you get to the Kaaba, cry unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Declare in your hand your sinfulness and cry unto Allah to lift off your shoulders the weight, the heavy weight of this sinfulness off your shoulders, and you will be free. That's what I told her. I'm sure she listened to me, and I'm sure Allah forgave her, because Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. قل لعبادي الذين آمنوا لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا. So here we are. That is what she did. Can you remember what you also have done? Please, just listen to me. Look onto the Charabutu TV. Look at me. As I speak to you now, this is what the story about that woman. But can you remember, if you are a woman, can you remember whether you have also done this before? In your case, nobody knows. If you are a man, can you remember? Maybe yours is not that you went to another woman, but there's something more serious that you have done, but nobody knows except Allah. Take advantage of these first 10 days. And more importantly, take advantage of tomorrow, Yawm Arafah. Khayru dua Yawm Arafah. The best of supplication is the supplication of the day of Arafah. Do istighfar to unlock the doors of Allah's bounties to you. The Prophet loved to do istighfar, so he taught us, Allahumma inni astaghfir lima qaddamtu wama akhartu wama asrartu wama alantu wama anta a'lam bihi minni anta al-muqaddim wa anta al-mu'akhir wa anta ala kulli shay'in qadir. Imagine the Prophet who has so been cleansed. No. He is not doing so. He is to show humility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to teach us what to do. But for him, Allah has made him so clean. Do you remember, إِنَّا فَتَحْنَا لَكَ فَتْحًا مُبِينًا لِيَغْفِرَ لَكَ اللَّهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِكَ وَمَا تَأَخَّرَ وَيُتِمَّ نِعْمَتَهُ عَلَيْكَ وَيَهْدِيَكَ صِرَاطًا مُسْتَقِيمًا وَيَنْصُرَكَ اللَّهُ نَصْرًا عَزِيزًا. إن فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما. So his case is a different case altogether. In spite of this, he prays, اللهم إني أستغفرك لما قدمت وما أخرت وما أسررت وما أعلنت وما أنت أعلم به مني أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر وأنت على كل شيء قدير. Oh Allah, I seek your pardon and forgiveness. لما قدمت, for what I have done in the past. وما أخرت, for what I have delayed, what I have done, what I am yet to do. وما أخرت. وما أعلنت, and that which I have done in open. وما أسررت, that which I have done in hidden. وَمَا أَنْتَ أَعْلَمْ بِهِ مِنِّي, and that which you are the best who knows about that about me. وَمَا أَنْتَ أَعْلَمُ بِهِ مِنِّي. There are things in your life that no one knows. Allah is the best who knows what you have done, the wickedness that you have done, the sinfulness that you have done, how you have destroyed other people, how you have dispossessed people of their properties, how you have stolen, how you have destroyed using things that are sinful in life. Those no one knows, but you make a declaration in prayer, وَمَا أَنْتَ أَعْلَمْ بِهِ مِنِّي, and things that you are the only one who knows best about me. أَنْتَ الْمُقَدِّمُ, you are the first, وَأَنْتَ الْمُؤَخِّرُ, you are the last, وَأَنْتَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ, and you have power over everything. So the power to forgive resides with you. Oh Allah, I declare the power to forgive, because you have power over everything, and including the power to forgive. So I declare, I pray that you have the power to forgive, and so therefore I do not have the power. In takfir lahum fa innahu ibadik. In takfir lahum fa innahu ibadik. Like Isa alayhi salam said, oh Allah, in takfir lahum, if you forgive, in takfir lahum, if you forgive them, they are your servants. You know, so as we celebrate, let's try and remember things about our own selves and be more sincere in the way that we do. We'll go to this, remember, just learn a little bit about Eid Ul Adha itself. When we go, the takbirat that we do, the number of rak'ats that we do. Make sure you do not slaughter ahead of your Imam. Make sure you don't slaughter ahead of your Imam. Let the Imam do the slaughtering. That is the sunnah. And then you can also go home and go and do your slaughtering. Inshallah, if I have the Chief Imam's permission, then I will say that the Eid Ul Adha, which comes on Saturday, will begin at 9 a.m. prompt. 9 a.m. prompt, because of the sacrifice, the slaughtering. We want to do it early and allow people to go home and also have some enjoyment in the slaughtering that we will do. I call on the young people not to be overindulgent in the celebration. Please avoid the reckless riding of motorbikes. We see it's still ongoing. It mars and spoils and damages the beauty of our celebration. It shows how indisciplined we are. It shows how lawless we are. So young people, youth leaders, I call on you, please can you talk to your friends? If you want to do this racing of motorbikes, can you get a field somewhere and allow the police people to come and give you some protection? Get an ambulance station somewhere, so if somebody falls down, he can easily be carried to the hospital so that his life can be saved and he can be given treatment. So youth leaders, please, if there is anything you can do to assist us. We feel sad anytime we are celebrating and we see some of those things happening, and non-Muslims see us, they are not happy, and they ask some of us why we behave the way we do. I carry the burden of taking some of those questions, and I want to beg youth leaders, if you can assist us, call your friends. We can have a big field somewhere where the motorbikes can go, and then you can be doing your things over there. If it's a week after and a certain advertisement can be made, there's going to be a special motorbike racing. I mean, inshallah, I'm sure that people will come there. Put on the best of your clothes. It's a day of beauty. So put on the best of your clothes and come out, and Allah will bless you. With this, I want to end my presentation today, and hope that I will have another opportunity to come. Meanwhile, it is my wish to extend to you my warmest felicitation, and I do so on behalf of the eminent National Chief Imam Sheikh Dr. Usman Nuhu Sharubutu, who will lead us on Saturday. On his behalf, I extend to you the warmest felicitation and the best of wishes on the occasion of the Eid Ul Adha 2022 celebration, and pray for Allah to give us all life between today and Saturday. Allah should continue to give us the grace of life and good health and the provision that we need to be able to celebrate in the most decent manner. I pray for Allah's blessings within these first 10 days for everyone. I make no discrimination. Everyone of us who needs a certain blessing from Allah, your wishes, your desires, your aspirations, your expectations, I include you in this prayer, and pray Allah guarantees you that which you desire in your heart. I also include it in your prayer. I pray against anything that is of worry to you, your worries, your anxiety, your fears, and all those things that are worrying you in life. I pray that Allah will shroud you with His protective power, so that nothing evil will afflict you. We pray against all natural calamities that will afflict us. We pray against poverty of our nation. We pray for more abundance from Allah, from beneath the earth and from on high, and from north, south, east, and west, that Allah Himself, who knows the beginning and end of things, will bring to us His blessings. He will rain on us the rains of blessings and breezes of His compassion. That's what I pray. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم إنا نسألك موجبات رحمتك وأزائم مغفرتك والسلامة من كل إثم والغنيمة من كل بر والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك من العصمة دوامها ومن النعمة تمامها ومن الرحمة شمولها ومن العافية حصولها ومن العيش أرغده ومن العمر أصعده ومن الوقت أطيبه ومن الرزق أوسعه ومن الفضل أعظمه ومن اللطف أنفعه ومن الإنعام أعمه ومن الإحسان أتمه. اللهم ربنا كن لنا ولا تكن علينا يا غفار. اللهم ربنا كن لنا ولا تكن علينا يا غفار. اللهم ربنا كن لنا ولا تكن علينا يا غفار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وكل عام وأنتم بخير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.